Hi everyone, this is Nikki Rowland and today I have a layout to share for Cocoa Vanilla Studio. I am using the brand new Bloom and Grow collection, which is just gorgeous. I've picked out this floral paper, the one with the frame around it, as you can see there, and I've pulled out some of the words from the new laser cut chipboard words. They do say on the packet that they may have a dark residue. Well, they definitely do. That came off of my fingers quite a lot, and I had to be careful. I had to go and wash my hands actually before I then placed them onto the layout. I was worried about transferring the residue onto the layout. As well as that, because it was on my fingers, when I picked up a piece of white card, I left fingerprints on the white card. So just be warned and be careful that does happen. It's perfectly fine. You just need to be careful. So what I'm doing with those amazing chipboard words is I am heat embossing them. So turns out I don't have a gold embossing powder, so I'm going to correct that. I've been onto Amazon and ordered one of those. It will hopefully be here in a few days. But until then, I'm having to make do with what I have got in my stash, and I decided to go for a dark blue, but I wanted it to glitter, and my dark blue embossing powder is just a solid colour. So I mixed it with some silver and some white glittery powders that I have got, and the result is a sparkly blue, although once it's heat embossed, it does look quite silver. It has lost a bit of the blue, but it does still look dark. You can see it there. Yeah, that was fun to do. So I just used an embossing ink pad. I've got a small one there to saturate the top of the words with the sticky ink, and then I poured my powder over the top, and then I shook off the excess, being careful not to touch the front of the words, because then I would have knocked off some of the powder. And then I used my heat tool to heat it up and heat emboss. Now, if you've never heat embossed before, then I would suggest you try it. It's a moment of magic when you heat emboss for the first time and the powder changes from a powder to, I don't know, it changes texture. What does it change to? It forms a coating effectively. It is a moment of magic, it really is. So yeah, have a go. And these words are perfect to do that. I also think that they'd be ideal to cover in glossy accents and then sprinkle with glitter as well. So rather than a heat embossed glitter, you'd get like a shiny, glittery finish. So anyway, that's something to try another day. Although when my gold embossing powder arrives, I'm fairly sure I'll be heat embossing everything in gold from now on. Okay, so you can see that I've gone for a really long title. I just felt that paper has already got so many embellishments on it around the outside edges that it was crying out for a long title in that middle section. So I've got one photo which I've mounted onto one sheet of the the A5 paper stack, and I've distressed the edges on that slightly, and then you can see my title, Lovely, Sweet and Wild at Heart. And what I thought I would do, because so much of the layout is taken up by the frame and the words, I thought that I would then just embellish the corners that I've already got. So I've stuck to the two opposite diagonal corners rather than embellish all four, just because I felt that otherwise it might have been overkill. I have, so I'm just building up some clusters in the corners. I also want to put a little bit of embellishments around the corner of my photo as well. But I don't want my flowers or anything to touch the frame, the floral frame, because it just doesn't quite look right. I did try with some fussy cut flowers, but it just doesn't quite look right. So anyway, that's coming together. You can see that I've got my floral clusters coming together nicely on the corners. I've got just added some flowers. I think they're all Floral Ephemera actually. Floral die cuts and some leaves also from the florals. And then at the top you can see I've pulled out the Bloom and Grow from the ephemera pack. At the bottom of my photo I have a label. I've got a sticker, is it there? Yeah, sticker that says Beautiful Soul. That's from the accessory stickers. A bird from the ephemera, some flowers from the ephemera, and a couple of labels, circular label stickers as well. So I'm just kind of going along, building things up, making sure that I'm happy with how it's all looking. I'm also raising up some of my flowers on foam pads to give them some extra dimension. Obviously, I'm expecting the flowers on the corners to kind of blend in with the flowers that are already printed on the sheet. But of course the flowers on the sheet are one-dimensional because they're all flat, whereas the flowers I'm adding will give a bit of dimension to those clusters. So even though it kind of feels counterproductive to cover up the flowers that are on the sheet already, what it does achieve is it gives me dimension, especially when I raise them on foam pads and kind of bend the edges a little bit to give them a bit of texture. So yeah, that's all kind of coming together nicely. You'll see in the bottom left corner I've also got a butterfly there too, yeah, I'm just going to finish off getting that all together and stuck down. Okay, so you can see that I have skipped forward slightly. I've added some gold hearts to my clusters, and now everything else is stuck down now. So now I'm just adding in some enamel dots. Now I wanted to decorate my title. There's lots of white open space around it, so I felt that I should embellish it a little bit. So I've gone for a number of enamel hearts dotted around that title, all those words, and then I'm adding some enamel dots around the page as well, so on the clusters and to the centers of the flowers. On the enamel shapes there are hearts or they're not enamel, I think they're puffy, but they're hearts and little dots, so I'm adding both of those, and then I'm adding a few word or phrase stickers from the accessory sticker sheet. I always think these, I love little label stickers. So they say, wonderful, remember this, special moments, and life is good. They have nothing to do with the title itself, but I wanted to bring them in and around the title as well, just to give it a little bit more detail and interest. Just distressing the edge of my whole layout there with some scissors. It's just to give the layout a bit more definition around the edge. Obviously it's got a white edge, and I just felt that having some definition would be a good thing. So now I am using this fabulous sheet of gold foiled cardstock, and I'm fussy cutting out some of those little emblems on there. I think that sheet must have been designed for fussy cutting. I don't know, would you use it as a whole sheet on its own? I'm not sure. But I am going to cut out everything, I think. Everything is gold and very pretty. So some shapes are solid gold, some are outlined in gold. So yeah. So I have fussy cut a few flowers and leaves, stem things from there for each cluster. So the idea was that I would have some gold sections in each of the two clusters, the opposite corners. But I couldn't, my flower that I'd originally cut out didn't really look right up in that top right cluster, because I'd already got my flowers in place and stuck down, and they looked quite nice as they were, so I would have had to rearrange the cluster. So instead of doing that, I've tucked it in underneath the photo cluster, so I didn't waste it, although of course I could have used it on a different layout. And now I'm thinking about adding some bits and pieces to the opposite corners, and then I quickly changed my mind because they really don't need it. There's enough going on this layout, but I just wanted to have another little splodge of gold, pop of gold, and I've got one little flower in the top right, and then I'm just going to add this little flower here. But I needed to have a little base first, so I just tucked in half a piece of Floral Ephemera there as well, and then just added that little gold flower on top. So that looks all looks quite nice now. Yeah, I'm nearly done. I just wanted to add in a couple of lines of journaling. Yeah, it's. The title is quite generic, but we were at a sunflower festival, so I wanted to write a little bit about what he was like there, and then I'm just putting the date over there on that little label sticker, and now I really am nearly finished. I think I'm just going to come in now with some splatters of gold paint. I'm loving the gold in this collection, so I've picked up my gold paint. My gold is kind of quite an old gold look, so it's not the bright yellow gold. I wish I had some like that. Actually, I might have to get some. Yeah, just a few splatters on those two corners, and I just hand drew in 2 commas next to the top 2 words of the title, so it reads lovely, sweet, and wild at heart. All right, so there you go. You can see my title a bit closer up there. It's so hard to capture the real texture of heat embossing on camera, but I hope you got the idea and give it a go. Okay, so thank you very much for joining me today. That was Nikki Rowland for Cocoa Vanilla Studio using the new Bloom and Grow.